Danila, do you know what the... oh, pardon me. Welcome to Time Spent Listening.
Welcome to Time Spent Listening, right here on WRFI.
I wish you wouldn't do that voice.
What voice?
Do you know what the weather is supposed to be? Tonight, tomorrow, that kind of thing?
Tonight it's below freezing, about 25 degrees. Tomorrow, I believe, is similar to today, a little bit cooler. And then we're back below freezing on Sunday to 20 high of 20 degrees.
Thank you for that information. You didn't just make that up, did you?
No, I think the Sunday one is accurate. I actually don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
You're making that
Does
up?
anybody?
Doesn't it? Well played. Touche. Does anybody? What's going on tonight, Danila? It's a special night.
It's a very special night.
We've got two guests in the studio. Well, actually, you know what? They're no longer guests. Now they're going to have to start doing some of the chores and that kind of... You know what I mean? When you have people, they stay past a couple days, it's like you're going to have to start doing some of the work here.
Yeah.
You're not my guest. I'm not going to just clean up after you.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. The mess that you've been... our friends Chris and Andy are here to play Dungeons and Dragons with us. Tonight we're rolling up characters. Nothing's going to take place off mic. And I don't care if this takes us a month just to roll up characters. I don't care.
I'm looking at a character sheet now in front of me, and this is high tech.
Anyway, welcome Chris and Andy.
2 pages.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Thanks. Thank you for acknowledging it.
Not quite as complicated as it looks.
Oh, that's a disappointment.
I
We
said
like-
quite.
We like complicated things. I'm gonna use the Banshees. I'm gonna use the backing track.
Oh,
Only shortcoming is it's only 4 minutes long, this backing track, so that's gonna keep me busy.
so this week for WRFI, we're reporting all the music we play, and so
Now you know how the sausage is made.
This track that you're playing, is this an original John Walsh creation?
Actually, we'll have to look this one up because it's like Dr. Osgood's crazy Halloween sound effects CD or something like that.
Oh,
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. I should turn it off. Forget it. No backing track. Just kidding. Can't think without it. Chris, what am I looking at here? It's true. I've been handed like a detailed.
it looks
You
like
are
about
look-
7.5 point font, 2 pages.
Does this have something to do with Obamacare?
Yes. Once you get this completed, your character, not you, but your
signed
character
up
will
for-
be signed up for a death panel.
That's
It,
we started to call it Hussein-a-care in my house.
so the first thing that we're going to have to do is roll up. So here's some dice.
Oh, oh.
Don't do that again.
So Chris just rolled out about maybe 100 different dies.
I guess if you weren't good at counting, that'd be about 100.
I'm not good at counting.
Yeah.
I'm not Rain Man over here.
I'm gonna say it's more like between 30 and 40. How many is it?
I don't know exactly how many, but there's, I would say, 5 sets of gaming dice.
It's Andy speaking, and I apologize that I didn't set up a fourth
I'm
mic
going
in
to
here.
start counting these.
I apologize that someone else didn't set up a fourth mic in here. So that Chris and Andy are sharing a microphone. I apologize for that. Even though Danila could have done something about it too.
So I suppose that what we'll kick off with is a quick instruction on what the heck these things that I just threw out here are. They are gaming dice. So when I talk about like a number, a number, the
Right?
first number is how many dice you're rolling.
Okay.
The second number is how many sides the dice has.
Okay.
So if I say 3d6, which I'm going to a bunch of times tonight, I mean 3 6-sided dice.
Right. And the 6-sided die, that's the one we're all familiar with, correct?
Yes, it is the cubic die.
Right.
Now, the fun thing about these, well, not fun, the crazy, obsessive thing about these is that if anyone out there is a geometry geek, which, given that this
Okay.
is Ithaca, is likely that someone is. So
Yeah,
the
except nobody's listening to this show, Chris.
well, of course.
But your point's taken.
So, with the exception of the 10-sided die, they are all platonic solids, which means they have identical equilateral sides. So there's a D4, which is a...
Can we take a little sidebar into the difference between Platonic and Euclidean solids? What's the difference?
81 die is the total number of die.
Did you just count it?
I just counted.
Wow.
The
I guess you were
difference-
closer than I was.
A little pat on the back.
Yeah. You get the glitter bomb. Congratulations. Sorry, go ahead.
If no one else wants to field this, I can explain that the difference between a Euclidean and a Platonic solid is a fact that I don't know and
Okay.
did not look up on Wikipedia today.
All right.
I don't know about Euclidean, but Platonic means that the solids are just kind of friends, right?
Right. Good one. Good one, Danilo.
Well, I know that Platonic means they have identical sides of the solid.
Okay.
So a D4 is a tetrahedron, a D6 is a standard cube, a D8 is an octahedron, a D10 is a D12 is a dodecahedron,
Right.
a D20 is an icosahedron.
Right.
The D10s are a weird shape that is apparently called a pentagonal trapezohedron or a
interesting.
deltahedron. It's not terribly interesting. I just happened to look it up.
What's interesting is you disclosed to us tonight that your wedding rings feature entrapped. There's silver settings with entrapped jade D20s in them.
Yes, they do.
Icosahedrons, as you say.
Wow.
See, I've been paying attention, Danilo. Unlike you. All right.
Well,
So-
one of these dice is really interesting to me because most of them have numbers on it, but there's one that is labeled with parts of the body: stomach, right arm, left leg, right hand, chest. What is this one used for?
Danilo is intensely curious about the human body. He doesn't know a lot about it. He sort of has a blossoming sexuality that we've explored here on the show.
Yeah.
So if you could explain to him what, like, the left leg is, like what that is.
Well, Andrea collects dice. So that happens to be a body part die that I got her for Christmas one
Okay.
year. So if you ever have a character that's caught in a huge explosion,
Right.
and you know that just a little bit of them is going to come flying out, you just roll the die,
Right.
and you can say, oh, they don't have a head
Right.
or arms or legs, but their chest just came flying out.
Right. Or, like an arrow hit you there or something.
Well, yes, but that's less fun.
Okay, so, all right, we've got a mess of die. We have a complicated, what is that, a pizza?
She has a set of dice for determining pizza toppings.
Oh, boy. That's important. Well done. I like how you keep that one in a bag separately. You're like, this one's just for sure. You can't touch it. This is a collector's item. You can't touch my pizza dice.
Another one of the weird ones on the table is a D30, which we will never actually use in this game.
Yeah, that one looks awesome. It's huge. It's as big as a golf ball.
It's not as big as a standard D100, which looks like a little golf ball. Technically, that one's called a zakihedron, after the inventor.
Sounds good.
The other way of doing D100s, whenever you need to generate a number between 1 and 100, is you roll 2 D10s, one of which ideally has a 0 after the numbers, so you get a tens digit from that,
Okay.
and a ones digit from the normal D10.
And yeah, that would be for when you need a percentile of some kind. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Oh, we also don't need the D16.
But we need the rest of these? Is that what you're saying? We need the other 80 dice that are here?
Not all of them at any given point,
Okay.
unless I decide that you arbitrarily got caught underneath a collapsing mountain and that I want to determine damage.
Should Danilo and I be obtaining our own dice so that we
If you would like,
are authentically
if
involved?
you would like, otherwise my wife is...
Obviously covered with dye.
Oh, these are just the ones that she carries around.
Okay,
This
I
is just
see.
a few of them. We also won't be needing the ones that are shaped like D20s but only go from 1 to 5.
Oh,
Weird.
that is weird.
You guys have a
Sorry,
lot of...
that is weird.
This is the dice bag where I keep my unusual dice, so...
I see.
And that is a D2.
That in itself is a little unusual. Just having...
This is a D2.
What? Oh, well, it's a coin. I see.
It's a pog.
And it says Cheese Weasel Logistics, LLC. Both
It's a
sides
Cheese
are...
Weasel Logistics promotional
You'd
item.
think they'd differentiate the two sides somehow. They're basically the
Well,
same.
It's a weasel with horns and bat wings and a weasel with a halo and a So it's a good and evil.
I see. Oh, okay, yeah. So evil.
But, you could also do it for a 1 or a 2.
Right.
Whatever.
So, John, which colored dice would you prefer? You want the yellow
We're
ones?
picking dice
the
already?
clear ones? You want these sparkly blue ones with the red
I don't know
numbers?
yet. I'm probably going to close my eyes and just when I need one.
Grab wildly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so what do we do with these sheets?
So, the first thing to get started on character creation, tonight I want you, while you're creating your characters, to constantly think about who your character is going to be.
Okay.
Because this shouldn't just be about rolling dice and writing down stats, because that's going to be really boring.
Right.
The point of this is that as you create your character, who the character is should sort of emerge.
Okay.
And you can share that with the audience. So, some of the backstory or backsetting that you kind of need while you're creating your character and thinking about that. Adventuring is a dangerous and incredibly stupid profession.
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of people would choose for a profession to not just spelunk, but spelunk with monsters that can turn you to stone, monsters that breathe fire, and monsters that just dissolve you or turn you into other monsters? So it's a stupid profession. It's a profession for either people who are so idealistic that they're willing to throw down their lives to make the world a better place, or more
that's
likely,
not you, John.
people who are so greedy that they are willing to squander their lives for a chance to be insanely wealthy or famous or just kill stuff. So, well-balanced individuals would not tend to go into this profession.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean your character's goofy. It just means that your character has to have some reason when you're done with them for choosing to do this. So in the setup for this, your characters will know each other fairly well already. You might have just been traveling together. You might be family or be from the same town, something like that. And at the start of the game, you're going to have just arrived in a town called Barrowsgate, which is sort of the gateway village to an area that is rich with adventuring opportunities.
It's a well-known area.
Yeah. Barrowsville, you said?
Barrowsgate.
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 I just made it up the other day. But, so
what's the strategy for this? Do you want to take the person you are in real life and extrapolate that? For instance, let me look at some of his characteristics.
Be interested to hear what you think.
I'm very, very bluff, and I like to climb, so I could say that I'm a good climber. Or do you want to just totally get wacky with this and make a character that's your ideal, like who you can't be in real life?
Well, first, I'm going to tell anyone in the audience who is familiar with Dungeons & Dragons that I have truncated the rules, truncated the options slightly to make this more straightforward.
Okay.
So, what I would suggest...
I appreciate that, because I'm looking at that list of skills. That should be truncated.
Is there lactofermentation? Is that a skill we could add?
Please.
I suppose that could be a knowledge skill or a profession, craft. I don't know. Anyway. So, but yes, blessed are the cheesemakers. And so,
what's our first step
here? What you should do tactically when you are designing up your character is to design up a character that you think will be interesting. Interesting to play, interesting to listen to. You want to make a character that is flawed. I mean, personally, I love making flawed characters. My wife can tell you that most of my characters have gone down in wonderful flame eventually, usually as a consequence of some trait that they had at the very start of the game.
And frequently literally in flame.
Occasionally. And sometimes taking others with them, but that's beside the point. So, having a good, bad ability score, being stupid, being weak, can actually make for a better character. which is why I'm giving you the lousy, traditional 3d6 roll for your ability scores, rather than the generous 4d6 and drop 1 that the rules normally call for.
No, I prefer that.
You prefer the 4d6 and drop 1?
No, I prefer the... Yeah.
The one that...
The random
messes with
chance. The
Yeah.
chance.
But then do we decide... Do we assign them to the...
So, the way this works, first,
Okay.
each of you should grab 3 6-sided dice.
All
I
right.
want these ones.
What?
There's enough for everyone, John. You
Oh,
don't need
there's
to-
more than enough for everyone.
Okay.
So,
I've got mine.
do we want to do this one at a time?
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Okay, so let's go with Danila first. You'll want to note off to the side, not just on like the margin of your sheet. Or, yeah, my wife is correct. The back of a sheet of... Oh, I even have a sheet of blank paper here. Why don't you note it down? Why don't you note it down on here
Okay.
as you roll? And after you roll up 6 of those, so
So 3d6.
3d6, add them up, and
6
then do
times.
that 6 times. Then you get to take those scores and assign them to the ability scores. And I'll explain the ability scores after people have rolled up.
Okay.
So 6 times I do this.
6
Yeah.
times.
All right. All right. What's that?
That's pretty good.
So 13.
You got a 6 and a 5 and a 2.
13.
Those are good numbers.
Got a 3, a 4, and a 4, which totals 11.
Okay.
Doesn't that total 8?
A 3, a 4, and a 4.
Oh, a 3, a 4, and a 4. Sorry.
4, a 4, and a 2.
For you geometry buffs out there.
10.
4 plus 4
This is
plus
fun.
3.
All right, another 10. Very strong. 10, solid.
You're doing all right.
Over 10.
10.5 is human average.
Okay. That's
So
not
I'm not
good.
doing that great. Okay, a 6, a 5, and a 1, so 12.
Nice.
And then a 1. I get one more.
Get a big one. Oh,
5, a 2, and a 2.
you
A
did pretty
9.
bad, I'd say.
No, he
I
did
don't-
pretty average.
Okay.
I've rolled up pretty bad.
That's what should happen,
I've rolled
I
up
guess.
awful. When I was playing Hackmaster, which is a similar system, I actually managed to roll up a character who randomly was a hemophiliac with chronic nosebleeds.
That's unfortunate.
So I have to decide which attribute is my 9, right? That's what I have to think about.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be on my mind. Is it going to be strength, intelligence, wisdom, charisma,
All right.
dexterity?
I'm going to roll up mine. I'm going to do it over here where you guys can't see. Is that all right? All right. I'll do it over here. That's 11. That's a good
15.
Nice.
15.
You have a solid score to put in something that you think is worth it.
That's 10. Whoop. What happens when I drop a dice, by the way?
The general rule of thumb is that dice that land on the floor need to be re-rolled, no matter how good or bad they are.
I understand.
It's always a pain to get a wonderful roll.
John, are you goofing?
Which were the ones that I rolled? Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11. Eight.
Oh,
Whatever. Ugh, 9. All right, I got my 6. Go ahead, Andy.
Okay. Oh dear. 6.
That stinks.
We have
No-
our
no
first
offense,
very
but-
interesting roll.
I thought you knew what you were doing.
11.
I don't know if it needs to be stated, but Andy is an experienced gamer.
as opposed to us who are
opposed to
total
Danilo and
noobs.
I.
Another 11.
We should explain that this is the inaugural show. This is the first time we're not just playing krautrock, and we're
A 15.
or whatever. And I think that's probably apparent at this point. You're listening to Time Spent
A
Listening, by
12.
the way, on WRFI, Watkins Glen, Ithaca.
And a 10.
All right, I was yammering. Can you read those back?
I got a 6, an 11, another 11, a 15, a 12, and a 10.
Okay.
So
About
I'm
the
going
same
to
as
be
me.
fairly unbalanced.
Yikes.
So while you guys decide where to put those, I might as well explain what these ability scores are that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to be putting them into. So I already said that 10.5 is the average human score. Some people have as low as 3, which would mean that you're really pitiful, or as high as 18, or higher once you get up to truly epic sort of action hero or
Right.
fictional type characters. So strength is pretty obvious. It's how strong you are. Dexterity is both your agility and your manual dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
Constitution is how healthy you are and how tough you are.
Okay.
Intelligence is how smart you are, academically, sort of processing-wise. And intelligence is useful for any character in this game because it does help to determine how many points you get to put into your skills later on.
Ooh.
Wisdom is your judgment and your ability to perceive details. So the difference between intelligence and wisdom is actually a very useful distinction to be able to make in real life. High intelligence, low wisdom is that guy that you knew in high school who scored perfectly on his SATs and makes very poor life decisions later on.
Right. Your hedge fund manager can be intelligent. Your homeless guy can be wise. Right.
Well, I wouldn't
Homeless
want to...
guys, known for their wisdom. Am I right?
I'm confident there are some really stupid hedge fund managers and really smart homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
But I get your
I doubt
point.
it.
And for charisma, that's basically how likable you come across. And that also has sort of your physical attractiveness rolled in with it.
Ooh.
Okay.
So you can assign those scores as you see fit.
Now, Danila, if you put your high score, which you don't really have one, under charisma, would that be aspirational, or would you say that would reflect yourself as a real human being?
I have to say that my scores pretty accurately reflect me. I'm below average in many things and slightly above average.
What do you think your real life strength is if average is a 10.5?
Average is a 10.5. Average for humanity?
Right.
For-
Well, that's according to Chris here.
But is it...
Excuse me, what is your strength score?
I'd say it's about a 7.
You think you're below average. But you always do the feats of strength on this show. You've opened
guess-
all the jars. Except for the dilly beans.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little being too hard on myself. I'm probably at least an 8.5.
So we've got to decide where these things go.
Yes,
Should we listen to a Can song really quick? Good old Can?
if you'd like to.
Yeah, we'll play a song and try to hash that out a little bit. Oh, how does this work? By the way, I just have to play this.
Always number 1.
We have to play that at least once every show. Phone's ringing. This is Can with Moonshake from Future Days. Enjoy.
Or should I do... What?
Welcome back to Time Spent Listening.
It's getting hot in the studio. We can't decide. I can't decide
Well,
what I'm going to do.
We mostly just yammered while we... and thanks for the call from listener Jamie, who's making his dinner. And he said he likes the show. Look, we're going to have to make some decisions really quickly here. I put my high score, which is 15, into intelligence. Because Chris says that if I want to be a magic user, a wizard...
A wizard?
Which is obviously what you should do. You can be strong in real life. Right? So I'm putting... And the rest of my scores, I'm probably going to just kind of... They're all pretty much the same. I'm probably going to put my lowest score in strength. And my next lowest score in charisma.
How about you, Andy? What are you thinking?
I was thinking either a fighter. My lowest score is pretty low. I was thinking it might be fun to play a stupid fighter. But I was also thinking that if the party needs it, it might be good for me to play the cleric, which is usually the healer. It's always good to have somebody who can magically heal wounds, because you tend to live longer that way.
I actually wish I had rolled a lower score for charisma, because I was thinking a character that's really unlikable,
Sure.
but pretty smart.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Is he allowed to defer any of his ability points? Just like knock it down?
I will.
You can
allow
always
him-
act like a jerk, right?
I've actually offered this to players in the past who wanted a hook for their character. I will allow you to throw away points.
Well,
If you want to take your 9 and lower it down to a 7...
can't he just say
or
he has really bad
6.
BO or something as part of his
Yeah,
backstory?
that's part of my backstory.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the 9 could reflect that you are completely unlikable, but fairly handsome.
That's exactly...
And
If I was asked to describe Danila, paint a picture with words, I'd say he's fairly unlikable.
I've never heard
Kind of
words
handsome.
truer about myself. That
Yeah.
I'm going to use that on my Facebook
Yeah.
profile.
Right now, your Facebook profile just says HIV negative. That's it. I think that's inappropriate. You should put more information in there, because people are like, who is this guy? Let's see.
so, to expand a little bit on your options, the next 2 steps are picking your race.
Okay.
Human, elf, dwarf, halfling.
Sounds
And-
racist, but okay.
Fantasy racism is one of my pet peeves in RPGs.
Yeah.
It's something a lot of games do. But, like saying that all orcs are evil.
Okay.
Some orcs are fishermen.
I can't be... So wait, what are my choices race-wise?
Human, elves, dwarves, and halflings. And I'll describe those in
Okay.
a little bit. But as far as classes go, your options, and I've shortened this list slightly off the entire book. Bard, which is sort of a jack-of-all-trades performer at bars that has a little bit of magic, a little bit of thieving skills, and sort of has picked up things from here and there, and really isn't a master of anything.
That sounds good.
Clerics, so for a bard, the primary ability score should be charisma, with intelligence coming in a very close second.
Okay.
For clerics, wisdom is the most important score, but charisma can be important. Fighters, strength, maybe constitution, and dexterity.
Okay.
Fighters are just meat shields. Rangers are sort of outdoorsy fighters. They're not quite as skilled in the ways of war, but they're accustomed to tracking animals through the forest and all sorts of woodish things.
Going to the bathroom.
Exactly.
Outside.
And the rogues, which in earlier games were called thieves, but they decided to...
Oh, I kind of wish I went with thief. Here's the thing. I filled my stats out here in pen, so that's it.
It's over.
I like doing it that way,
You
though.
can scratch it off and note it down, and I can copy it over to another sheet.
Didn't I tell everybody I'd be a wizard anyway?
You did.
Yeah.
You committed to wizard.
Gonna go to an Ivy League school and become a wizard.
You're a wizard, John.
Wizards are pretty cool. I kind of wish I went with bard or thief. Why don't you be one of those things?
Yeah, I'll be the thief.
Yeah.
I like being a
Thieves,
thief.
the 2 best skills for thieves are...
Let me ask you something. I'm
dexterity
still
and
allowed to steal
intelligence.
stuff, even if I'm not a thief, even if I'm not
Oh,
good at it.
Yeah, I mean...
I can bring my own personal abilities to bear on this.
Yeah.
And you can design up a rogue that is horrible at stealing things. A rogue that is completely built up around things like stealth rather than picking pockets,
Sure.
or built up around building and disarming traps.
Right.
Which is why they changed the name to rogue from thief, because rogue
You don't have to steal
expresses the whole range of options.
anything. Right.
The other 2 options are sorcerer, who's sort of born with a magical talent that they use sort of intuitively, and the wizard, which is the guy that spent years and years poring over dusty tomes,
Yeah.
having his eyesight ruined by working with a tiny little candle when he could have used something that lit things up better, like
Okay.
sunlight. He's just in
Have
a little room
bad eyes.
with a candle in the middle of the day for no reason. So those are the character classes. Obviously, wizard is intelligence is the most important thing.
Right.
Right. So I think I'm leaning towards being a bard, but an unlikable bard.
Okay.
Like someone, a traveling musician that everyone throws out.
Okay.
You're going to be Fozzie Bear. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that is Fuzzy Bear.
So I set my charisma to the lowest.
Waka waka.
And I guess I should have pretty low intelligence because that would make sense. I just don't get the picture. People are like,
Are you
"Get
just
outta
doing
here."
an intentional crash and burn on this? Is that what's going
No,
on?
I think it'll be more fun.
Okay, no. Absolutely. If you want to role play that, that's fine.
Not getting the picture would be more of a wisdom issue. Wisdom is
Okay.
more perceiving things around you.
You have plenty of low stats, so you can really spread them around.
Trust me, there's a lot of very intelligent people that have no idea what's going on around them.
But what are you going to do with your high... Here's the thing, though. You want to put a low charisma score there because you're like, that's who I am. But it's I assume it's going to affect his ability to perform things, do things.
Oh yeah, that'll be great.
So I don't know if you just want to be bad at what you are. I don't know. Like, you can always behave as if you were, an unlikable person. But I don't know if you really want to throw away your, like, if you're a bard, his highest stat should be charisma, right? If you want your abilities to work right. Hey,
Or
do whatever you want.
intelligence.
What do I know?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in intelligence. Well, but didn't you
Okay.
put yours in intelligence?
Yeah, but that's because I'm a wizard.
All right.
Well,
Wizard.
Bards are sort of the jack of all trades, so having more points to put into skills makes sense too.
All right.
You're joining the trades.
That's it. And I'll
And
be
besides,
pretty
his-
weak of constitution, but dexterous.
His
Okay.
quote-unquote bad stat is a 9, which is barely a bad stat at all.
Okay.
So, none of you really rolled bad characters. Andy rolled the worst stat at a 6, and even that's not a cripplingly bad stat.
And where
It's
did you
just
put
an
that,
amusingly
Andy?
bad
What are you
stat.
going to do with your 6?
I put my 6 into intelligence.
Okay.
I'm not the brightest bulb.
Because you're going to be a big guy that, or girl, excuse me, pardon me, a little fellow with a big axe. Is that what you're?
That's
going
what I'm
for that?
leaning towards, yeah.
Sounds good.
I've got a mini.
Do I get a little metal guy that I paint or something?
Some people
If
play
you-
with minis.
Do I get that?
Would you like
But-
that, John? Would you like that?
Yeah.
You can
I can-
get
I can-
yourself one,
I
but
can
we aren't
get you one,
actually going to
John.
be using like maps or
All right.
displays here. Partially because it just doesn't show up that well on radio.
Okay.
So
I understand. All right. Have we all placed all of our stats?
I believe so.
And did we all pick? So that
class?
means we've basically picked a class, right?
Mhm.
A job.
Okay.
Not possible to play without a class, right?
Well, I suppose that you could, but your character wouldn't actually level up or become more powerful.
Sounds good.
So you'd basically be a red shirt.
Right. Okay. So, and races. Have we picked races yet?
So I don't believe you guys have picked races yet. Let me give you a quick description of the race options.
I want to be American.
I don't think that's going to be an option. Nationality is something we're going to handle far later in this. It doesn't actually affect much except backstory. So the first racial option is dwarves,
Okay.
which I'm guessing that anyone who's seen Lord of the Rings has a fairly good idea of dwarves. They're fairly generic. As far as what it means, dwarves get a +2 to Constitution and a -2 to Charisma,
Okay.
which would make for a great bard, right?
Interesting.
Okay.
They are slightly. Okay, here we go. They have dark vision. They can see in the dark.
Whoa.
They have a bonus for understanding stonework. They have bonuses against poisons, including alcohol.
Okay.
So the understanding stonework, that's like if you in the game you decide you're done adventuring, you
kind
want to
of a
become a
Zen-
mason.
That's
You
kind of
wanna-
a Zen thing. Like, I get it. I assume it comes in handy when you're,
looking for
you're in a dungeon,
secret
you're looking
passages.
for a
and
secret
things.
something.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
less useful in an outdoors adventure. And I'm not telling you guys what this is going to be, so.
Okay.
But, it's just something that's there for dwarves. They also get a bonus against magic. They have a bonus against orcs and goblins because they hate them.
Okay. That's all it takes?
Yeah.
Hatred.
Again, with the sort of magical racism. But
All right.
I'll leave that there. I'm not going to tweak this, really. They get a bonus against giants.
Okay.
Dodging.
That makes very
They-
little sense. Was this like a racial rock, paper, scissors?
Sort of, yes. That's a fair way to put it. The idea is that certain races have fought each other for millennia upon millennia, and they get bonuses against their enemies. Also, small characters generally do get bonuses against giants, which does make some sense.
Okay.
When you can easily, like, run between their legs,
Sure.
slight bonus.
Just like real life.
Well. They also get a bonus to appraising things that are made of stone
Oh
or
boy.
metal.
We're in the weeds here. I don't even... This is still just dwarfs, right?
Just
Yep.
dwarves. What's next?
Yeah.
What's the other?
Speed it along.
Yes. Elves are cool and powerful and near immortal. They get bonus to dexterity, penalty to constitution.
So near immortal, that means they you can't kill them, or they just live forever if you don't.
Live forever.
Okay.
They have extremely long lifespans. And, yeah, I'll skip over the little details for them.
What were their stat bonuses?
Bonus to dexterity, penalty to constitution.
Okay, so my dexterity would automatically go up and my constitution would automatically go down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Understood.
And, so, dwarves have a favored class. It's the thing that they're hypothetically best at, and that's fighter.
Okay.
Elves are hypothetically best at wizard.
Okay. Even though I didn't get an intelligence boost from that, if I so chose to be an elf, you'd think it would make my intelligence go up.
You would think.
You would think, but
Is
no.
dexterity important for a wizard?
Considering that wizards can't wear any kind of armor,
Oh, I see.
being able to move out of the way is
Gotta
important.
jump around.
Yeah, I might have to grab something from a pouch to
I can't
cast a
wear any
spell.
armor at all.
If you wear armor, you'll get magic penalties.
Ugh.
My
Don't
general
want
rule of
those.
thumb is that dexterity is important for anybody who wants to not get hit.
Okay.
Although magic penalties are fun, mind you, because
Alright.
they can result in all sorts of strange mishaps.
Okay.
The other one that I'm offering you guys is halfling.
Right.
It's a...
You skip humans?
Oh, humans are easy to forget about because humans are boring.
Okay, so you don't get anything.
Humans.
Humans
Up or
do
down?
get something. Their bonus is that they get an extra feat later on.
Okay.
Normally, a starting level character gets 1 feat. A feat is a cool special ability that defines how cool your character is at what they do. And humans get 2 instead of 1.
Okay.
But they don't get any of their ability scores changed
Can't see in
around.
the dark. Obviously, we know that, right?
Yeah, you should be familiar with humans. I shouldn't need to explain what a human is like to you.
If you want to be American, John,
I guess so.
good old Uncle Sam.
2 legs, 2 arms.
My character's name is going to be
only
Uncle
one
Sam.
head, which usually has no more than 2 eyes.
Right, right.
Uncle Sam the Wizard.
Okay, so halflings. What do you got?
Halflings are essentially hobbits with the name changed because of copyright arguments.
Okay.
So halflings get a bonus of 2 points to their dexterity.
By the way, halfling sounds the most racist. It doesn't get any worse than that.
Oh, actually, apparently in Tolkien's writings, halfling was actually the racial slur that was thrown at hobbits.
Oh.
But, you know, apparently, for some reason, the racial slur wasn't
The
copyrighted.
Tolkien estate decided not to pursue that particular.
Well, they pursued Hobbit, and the thing
Yeah.
that was negotiated after the very first edition of Dungeons & Dragons was that it was okay to call them halflings,
Okay.
which is just crazy. But
Yeah.
So halflings stuck. So halflings get a +2 to dexterity, a -2 to strength.
Okay.
And they have a bunch of stuff because they're tiny, and they're good at throwing things, and their favored class is rogue.
But that sounds like good. That sounds like good wizard material too to me, right?
Weak but dexterous.
Weak and dexterous, just jumping around, bouncing off the walls. Still not going to do it though. Definitely going elf.
100% elf.
I'm 100% elf. I'll go all night.
So you're looking at elf.
So those are our options?
Yeah.
Those are your
Elf,
options.
halfling,
I
human,
have
dwarf.
to be a dwarf.
Go for it,
I'm going
man.
to be a dwarf.
Does that mean I'm a little taller or elves a little taller?
Elves are a little bit taller. They're slightly
love it.
shorter on the average than.
Let me ask you something.
I can see in the dark, John.
If I just slap Danila, do we have to roll damage for that, or can I do that as many times as I want?
Are you talking about in the studio or
In the game.
your characters?
In the game itself.
You'd have to roll to hit him,
Wow.
and then once you hit him, well,
is
I
gonna
guess
be-
I'd ask
this is
if
gonna be
you
more
actually
fun than
were
real
hitting
life.
him hard enough to hurt
Pretty
him.
fast, John.
But
All right.
yeah, that actually does touch on one interesting thing that the listeners should be aware of, which is that a lot of the time when role-playing, you're going to be referring to your character in the first person, which has raised all over the decades in role-playing has raised all sorts of amusing confusions. So if you hear someone talking about how I'm going to do this to this house and then I'm going to do this to the person that lives there, no one is plotting home invasion or murder on the live radio.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
There's one funny story from the early 80s where someone actually called the FBI on some people that were playing an espionage game set in the present day because they were plotting things that sounded extremely real and frightening.
On the radio.
Well, no, they were plotting it in
In a cafe
diner.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, interestingly, I've looked online, and as far as I can tell, I may be mistaken, but I couldn't find an exception. This is the first time that a role-playing game has been played live on the air on radio.
I guess we'll be the first ones to find out why.
Yeah. So,
All right.
And Andrea, what did you want to play?
I was thinking a dwarf fighter.
Nice. 2 dwarfs and an elf.
Well, it'll make a comical duo.
Yeah,
Trio.
that's right.
Party. It's a party.
Sounds good. Is there going to be... so there will be 3 people in our party. There won't be another person in our party that's not one of us?
You will have a traveling companion that you picked up along the way. Basically, it's a post-adolescent... it's not... he's not quite an adult. He's your torchbearer. He's your
Okay.
torch boy. It's a halfling.
Nice.
It's a halfling that carries your torch for you.
Cool. I was wondering
Yeah,
which
but
one of us
I
was
wonder.
gonna have to
So
do
so
that.
here's the question: if we find a lot of treasure, right? We slay some dragons, we get a bunch of treasure. How are you going to haul it all back? Don't we need to bring porters with us?
I think
When
we'll
we
worry
get
about that when it happens.
when we get to equipment, there is one question that you will have to ask yourselves, which is, do we want a mule?
we can get a mule,
we need a
right?
mule.
Yeah, definitely.
a mule.
Well, okay. You're just going to have to keep in mind that you'll need to feed and, like, make sure the mule doesn't drop down pits
Okay,
or off
Dad.
cliffs. Hey,
This is
it's
a
not
special
my
meal.
fault if you scratch up that mule.
God, do we have time to listen to more music? Not really, but I feel like we're... Well, maybe I'll just lay something down as a backing track. Because we've been listening to this. I swear to God, I'm going to have the backing track thing covered next time, okay? We're going to have... you'll have to tell me what the setting is. I'll try to lay something down that's appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Birds, waterfalls, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm hoping that next episode we're going to be about half to 2/3 of the way through the episode when we get done with character creation. And if that hope bears out, then we'll actually go straight into the very start of the adventure, where it's going to start off in a tavern.
Oh, nice. I like that.
You can get some tavern music.
Oh, we got to pick genders, too.
Yeah, and you do not have to stick to your own gender. Trust me, there is no stigma in role-playing. There might be in radio, but not in role-playing, about playing a character of the opposite gender. Most people I've known usually start off playing a character of their own gender, but eventually most people just end up playing characters that are further and further away from
Danila
who they
knows
are.
a lot about this kind of
Yeah, I
the
do.
stigma
Well,
associated
I
with
just worry that if I switch the gender, our characters, something awkward might happen on the air, John.
right. So if you were to switch genders, what do you mean? What would you be?
Like, say if I was a female dwarf, your character
Okay.
might just try to put the moves on me, and that might get awkward.
Ugh. Well, I'm gonna pick the same thing as you, and I might still put the moves on you.
Which is perfectly fine.
I'm gonna go with a gentleman elf.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a gentleman to be male. You could be completely crude and inappropriate.
Not in my book. The rest of this stuff, some of this going to be, are you going to inform us of, like, what's
Yes.
my residence?
Step
It's
by
not
step.
Barrowsgate, is it? Okay, step by step.
Residence really isn't going to be an issue. Some of these things are useful on some games basis and not on others. For example, you're not going to have a racial subtype, really.
Okay.
We're just sort of doing it generic.
What about my patron/deity?
So your patron deity, some characters... So, standardly, Dungeons & Dragons takes place in a polytheistic setting. There are many gods. No bearing on anything in the real world.
You're saying this isn't blasphemous? Is that
No,
what
if one would find it blasphemous, it is no more blasphemous than any other work of fiction. Which, if you find works of fiction blasphemous, sure.
We only have one book in my house.
I just saw your bookcase.
Yeah.
One of them, at least.
Those are all coloring books.
Patron deity, if you choose to have one deity that you particularly feel attached to and worship, that's the one, that's where you put it. You can feel free to make one up, especially since none of you are clerics.
Oh, okay. It would matter if we were clerics.
If you were clerics, you'd actually be in service to that deity.
Gotcha.
But as is, you can make up whatever strange deity, or you can quite reasonably say that your character doesn't have a patron deity. And that could either be because you're impious, that you don't worship any gods, or that you don't really prefer one over anyone else.
Gotcha. I'll put not applicable for now. Or I won't put anything.
Feel free.
Doing this part in pencil, by the way. And my alignment, what gives?
Alignment. Alignment is actually a fairly complicated thing, but I can delve into it a touch right now, and if the time runs out, I can delve into it a touch at the start of next week. So alignment is a 2-axis chart. There's a total of 9 different things that you can be. So one axis is lawful, neutral, and chaotic.
Okay.
I'm drawing
It's
a picture.
Generally,
myself.
how you prefer... Think of it like a tic-tac-toe chart. 3 wide and 3 down. Lawful, neutral, and chaotic are how you prefer things. What your approach to the world is. If you have a structured approach to the world,
Okay.
you tend to be more lawful. If you really like things to be varied, you're more chaotic. And the other axis is good, neutral, evil. There's some dispute. There's different perspectives on how to interpret this. So I'm going to pick the one that I prefer. And people on the radio or wherever might be gritting their teeth. My view is that
Oh, they're gritting their teeth, all right.
good is being selfless.
Okay.
Good is wanting to act to the benefit of other people.
Okay.
Now, you might have strange views on what constitutes other people. A good person might go and torch an entire village of goblins, for example.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
that
because
sounds
they
good.
don't view those goblins as people.
Right.
Right. Or
I-
anybody else. So, wait, do we
evil
all have to
basically-
make an agreement, though, in our party? Because, like, what if I pick evil and Daniil picks good?
Sometimes that can work,
Handshake.
but sometimes that can create a lot of interesting in-party friction.
Okay.
When it does create interesting in-party friction, whoever has a more chaotic alignment tends to be the one that places a dagger in the other one's back.
I see.
So I don't necessarily encourage you to have opposing alignments, but they don't have to be completely complementary either.
All right.
For example, within a single organization, you can have zealots who are of good alignment and zealots who are of evil alignment. I mean, if you picture like
Sure,
an
I see what you mean.
inquisitional setting,
Right.
someone might be viewing it as for the greater good.
Yeah.
And another person might just be evil.
Right.
That's
Well, and you can both be good and someone be lawful, wanting to do things by the book, and someone being chaotic, just being a little wild.
It sounds a little fuzzy though when we're talking about the Inquisition. It's like, well, those guys were good. It's like, wait a minute.
No,
that doesn't sound right.
I'm not trying. Sorry, that's why that's why this debate rages so vehemently, because it's whether or not you tie the terms good and evil in the alignment to actual morality or intention.
Oh,
it's
okay.
whether you tie it to intention or deed, I suppose is the better way to put it. So,
So if they thought they were helping people, they'd be good.
hypothetically, which we're not making any statements about anyone being a bad person or a good person historically.
Right.
Although, John, I know you want to make some of the statements, so
I wanted to say something about Anne Frank, but the joke didn't completely form itself before I had, the opportunity passed. So I'm not gonna.
So,
As a matter of fact, we've only got a couple minutes left of the show. What's our final act here?
well, I guess the final act today is for each of you to decide on alignment.
Okay.
While you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to read off a list of some wonderful examples of alignments.
Okay.
These are all pulled off the internet. I don't swear by all of them, but they are ones that people have strongly vouched for. Lawful good. Good examples might be good police officers, brutally zealous crusaders, selfless volunteers, Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird, Superman, Hufflepuff House, or Mother Teresa.
Okay.
Lawful neutral. Soldiers who follow orders without question. Ideal judges and attorneys, James Bond, Odysseus, most Jedi, and Inspector Javert. Lawful evil might be tyrants, hanging judges, petty bureaucrats, bad police officers who aren't crooked but are bad. Any really honorable or rule-oriented villain, Lex Luthor, Rumpelstiltskin, Michael Corleone, Sheriff of Nottingham, Darth Vader, Daleks, Genghis Khan. Neutral good examples might be Luke Skywalker, Axel Foley, Will Turner, Gandalf. And so on. So, do people have answers?
So give us something about chaotic. What's a chaotic?
What's your alignment
good?
going to be?
Chaotic evil.
You want a chaotic evil example?
Chaotic good. Give me a chaotic,
Chaotic good. Wolverine, Mary Poppins, Robin Hood.
So you're.
Cat
I
in the
love
Hat,
that Mary Poppins and Wolverine are in the same category.
That's
along
what
with Cat in the Hat and Bilbo Baggins.
Cat in the Hat.
I'd be in for for chaotic, but in the good direction. Maybe chaotic, neutral, good. What do you guys think?
Chaotic
about you,
neutral
Andy?
good?
It's like
do you
in
mean
between neutral and good.
So, okay. So, would it be good leaning towards neutral or neutral leaning towards good?
What do you guys think? Neutral leaning towards good.
What do you think, Andy? What are you going with?
I'm thinking I'll be chaotic neutral.
I think
Unpredictable.
So, our examples for that are Catwoman, Captain Jack Sparrow, Tyler Durden,
so you guys are both neutral.
Ash.
I'm on the way to good.
Okay. And you're neutral?
Chaotic neutral.
Okay.
What are you gonna be?
I'm going to have to go with evil. I'm going to have to say chaotic evil.
Okay.
Give me examples of chaotic evil,
The
by the way.
chaotic evil examples. So, indiscriminately destructive monsters, most serial killers, Cthulhu, the Joker, Sweeney Todd,
Maybe
Alex
that is a
from
bit much.
Clockwork Orange, Sylar from Heroes, and Bellatrix Lestrange.
I don't like the sound of that. So I can be neutral evil, right?
You can be neutral evil.
That sounds a little more realistic, doesn't it?
It sounds a little bit less likely to get you all horribly, strung up when you get to a town.
Unless it's an evil town.
Most evil towns tend to be lawful evil. Because they still like people to obey
I see
the
what you
law.
mean. I'm still going with neutral evil, though.
That's completely workable. So that would be people more like the Kingpin from Marvel, the Emperor from Star Wars, the Master from Doctor Who.
This kind of makes me sound like I'm an idiot. You know what I mean?
It's more
Here's a
interesting.
better example.
I just wanted
Bender from Futurama.
I just want him to be selfish. So should I
Bender
say
from Futurama? If you watch.
But should I just
Futurama.
say neutral and I'm just I guess neutral's okay. You're leaning toward good. I'm leaning toward evil. How's that sound?
That sounds
Oh,
fine.
we gotta get off the air. What are we doing?
This is
Tune in next week, folks.
WRFI Watkins Glen, Ithaca. This has been time spent listening. Join us again next week at 8 o'clock as we continue character creation and begin on our quest.
It's spine tingling.